Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambeau channel. XRP at $10,000 is nonsense maths, says a Ripple employee. And this is in response to a TikTok crypto investor whose name is Crypto Insight UK. And so I want to talk about this because what this individual said is completely absurd. And I'm going to break down a few of the reasons why. It's going to be a killer time. And look, you know me, I am pro Ripple, I am pro XRP. I think that XRP could potentially be worth in the future substantially more than it is today. But I don't think that we need to live in fantasy land, talking about all sorts of nonsense that just is not in line with reality for us to feel good. I think that there's so much good stuff happening within the XRP ecosystem that living within reality already seems surreal. It's so positive. I'm so thankful that I came across XRP when I did, November of 2017. I've been holding ever since, and it's my largest crypto holding. But I got to tell you, this idea of XRP hitting $10,000, it's never going to happen, folks. And so I've mentioned a few times over the last few months that I started working on a video, and I've just paused it. Well, it's not time sensitive. I do still want to make it, but I need to have all my ducks in a row. But I am working on putting out a video where I'm going to break down in great detail why there's not enough money on the entire planet to get XRP to a price of $35,000. And the reason I picked that is because you may remember a few months or so ago, that number was floating around crypto Twitter, at least, and maybe elsewhere on social media, because somebody stated that XRP could potentially get to $35,000. And folks, I gotta tell you, sorry to crush dreams there, but that is just fantasyland nonsense. It's never going to happen. There is not enough money on the planet to bid the price up that quickly. And I'm not making the argument because of market cap. That's actually a poor argument. I'm saying there's literally not enough money on the planet to bid it up that high. And so if you're talking about $10,000 XRP, I don't think that's far off. I'll go back and look at numbers. I don't think even $10,000 is realistic unless you're talking about inflation. But when people say XRP is going to $10,000, they're not talking about inflation. They're talking about based on the purchasing power of the United States dollar today, $10,000. That's what people mean when they say that. They don't mean if we experience hyperinflation with the United States dollar where $10,000 can only buy you a loaf of bread. No, that is not what people are talking about when they say $10,000 XRP. So anyway, I guess call me what you want, but maybe I'm the crusher of dreams for now in this video. But it is what it is. And so no offense to anybody that feels differently. I think you're wrong if you hold that idea. And that's fine. You can think I'm wrong. I like diversity of thought, so no problem there. We can still be friends. But when I hear something that I believe is this wrong, I gotta talk about it. This is an XRP-centric channel, after all, and so it's kind of what I do. But I also want to be clear, I don't have a financial background of any kind, and I'm not offering financial advice, so you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos, but purely as a hobby here. And so there's this video that's on your screen, and I did transcribe it, and I'm going to share the contents of it with you in its entirety. And this was tweeted by a ton of people, actually, including an XRP community member named the Chosen One. And so to be clear, if you happen to be listening to the Chosen One, nothing against you whatsoever, nothing against you for sharing something that you found interesting on Twitter. That's not the point of this. This is not an attack. I just want to be clear. Anybody can have their own opinion about how high the price of XRP can go, and I have my opinions, and I think that $10,000 is just cray-cray. That is cray-cray talk. It's not happening. And I say that with respect. I'm not trying to offend anybody, but I want to make my position known. It's worth talking about here. And this is the thread where a Ripple employee did jump in and say this is just bad math. And so here's the transcription. And so the TikToker is at Crypto Insight UK, and he said the following in this 47-second video. If you're an XRP holder, I've got some quick maths for you. We had the announcement of one on-demand liquidity corridor from Japan to Singapore, and it moved the XRP price about 10%. I already got a pause right there. That's not true. He said Japan to Singapore? No. Here you go from Business Wire. And I knew this was wrong the moment I heard this. This guy's got his facts wrong. This corridor, the on-demand liquidity corridor, as I've highlighted on the screen, it's from Japan to the Philippines, and the exchange partner is coins.ph in the Philippines. And then you've got SBI, I think it was SBI VC Trade is the exchange in Japan. So those are the two liquidity pools, one on each end. Not Singapore, just to be clear. So I highlighted the Philippines every time it was mentioned in this article here. And so anyway, then he continues. So the announcement of one on-demand liquidity corridor from Japan to Singapore, of course, that's not true. It's the Philippines, but anyway, I know what he's talking about, the most recent announcement. And he said it moved the price of XRP about 10%. Well, look, it could be true that the price of XRP went up because of that. I actually recorded a video as we were seeing that price excitement after the news broke. Now, the price of XRP actually didn't start moving until about 1 hour after the announcement, so that was a little peculiar. Normally, when news hits, if it's going to move price, it happens pretty instantaneously with, the instant flow of information around the internet. So the fact that there was a delay is a little strange, but the timing is close enough and it's big enough news where perhaps that was the reason. I can't say with 100% certainty that's why that happened, but it's definitely plausible. Like that actually is what he put there. Like when he said that actually is legitimately plausible. It could have been the reason. Even though the vast majority of the time you see any sort of price fluctuation with XRP, it has nothing to do with news. That's been my experience following this for years and years now. But anyway, then he said the following. So there are 195 countries in the world. That means that Japan can have another 194 corridors, and every country in the world would have 194 corridors because they'd already be linked to Japan. So let's pause right there. As far as that number, that would be disputed depending on who you ask, because not every country recognizes every other country for various reasons. And so if you Google, and you can do this yourself, how many countries are on the planet, ask a different source, get a different answer. Some say over 200, some say less than 200. There's all sorts of different answers. So you can just ballpark it and say maybe somewhere in the neighborhood of about 200 would be reasonable. So he's not that far off either way. I just wanted to be clear that there's not some set number of countries in the world, but you would need liquidity in every single country. If you're talking about a completely globally adopted on-demand liquidity with XRP as a bridge currency, yes, you would need to have pools of liquidity in every single country. So a minimum of that many. That's true. And so he then said the following. So if you go under the assumption that every corridor gains 10% for XRP price through volume, or even speculation of volume, or a mixture, it would be 194 corridors multiplied by 195 countries, which gives us about a 37,800% gain for XRP price. Somewhere around that $10,000 price range. Just one for your thoughts. I think I might have transcribed that last sentence wrong. He said something. Anyway, it was food for thought. Effectively, is what he was trying to convey. That is the very last sentence in this. And okay, it might sound harmless and maybe, but it's just the concept is so absurd. I don't want to go too far on this, but anytime I hear this stuff spouted, and again, this is no offense to anybody that has believed this or found these types of statements to be compelling, I think it does more harm than good, to be honest with you, because it's just so far out of line with reality. And so look, there are multiple on-demand liquidity corridors. There are multiple on-demand liquidity corridors open that existed before this most recent one. Okay. Each announcement up to the point where this one was announced, the Japan to Philippines one, it did not. Each one of those announcements did not result in a 10% increase. So already there, it's illogical to take this one single data point that he's citing and assume there will consistently be the same market reaction every time a new on-demand liquidity corridor opens. And even if the most recent on-demand liquidity corridor opening is what caused the price of XRP to jump, why would you assume that the same repetitive announcement about new on-demand liquidity corridors constantly opening would garner the same response? Well, it wouldn't. Also, and yeah, we want a comparison there. So Coinbase used to be the kingmaker. Anytime they would add a coin, it would just rally. You're not seeing that as much these days. It's not the same. Even if you get a little bump, it's just not the same as it used to be. As things become normal, frenzy dies down. So no, you wouldn't even if that is the bump that you're going to get, it's completely irrational to assume that you're going to get the same result every single time. And given that's the case, why are we even talking about this fantasy land nonsense? And so, also consider this. Also, when price increases by 10%, you have a higher price, right? Something goes up by 10%, you have a higher price than when you started. And when you increase that new higher price by the same percentage, 10%, you get a price increase that's higher than the previous price increase. And so every time you increase by 10% from one price to the next, every time you increase by 10% of the new price, the price increase actually becomes greater each time. Okay, so even though the 10% is the same from one price to the next, the monetary amount becomes bigger with each increase because it's a bigger ball of wax every time you're adding another 10% to it. So it increases exponentially very quickly, the price would, right? But in the real world, that's not how things work. You're not going to exponentially have new people enter the world of crypto and purchase XRP every time a new on-demand liquidity corridor is announced. So this is just bad math. And on top of that, the price of XRP almost never reacts to news, and it's actually just following the price action of Bitcoin. You know, and on-demand liquidity volume does not directly result in a price increase. It doesn't. On-demand liquidity uses an efficient path-seeking algorithm to move money using the most economical path. And so these transactions are fundamental. They're occurring on exchanges, because that's where the liquidity is. But these transactions, via this efficient path-seeking algorithm, they're fundamentally different than emotional humans buying and selling on exchanges. It's largely the human emotion that causes the price volatility within XRP markets, whereas on-demand liquidity seeks to keep volatility minimal on a per-transaction basis. See, the thing about this, you gotta understand, on-demand liquidity, it doesn't get all excited about a volume of XRP and then decide that it's going to bid up the price by paying more. That's not how the algorithm works, folks. That's not what it does. And so, look, ultimately, it's always humans that decide the open market price of XRP. And that's based on supply and demand. It just is. That's the case. That's how this works. It will always be humans. Let me say that again. It's always going to be humans that determine what the price of XRP is. And even if you buy into the idea that on-demand liquidity is going to bump up the price purely because of the transactions and supply and demand, I mean, it's just again, it's just not emotional. It's just not emotion based. You have to understand that. Like, it's a crucial piece that I think people are missing. So it's more so, if there's a sufficient blend of price and liquidity, then on-demand liquidity can be utilized, but it doesn't just magically push up the price. Now here's where where on-demand liquidity can have an impact, though. As the crypto asset class matures, those that want to diversify into the space, if they notice that businesses have adopted on-demand liquidity to some degree, utilizing XRP as a bridge currency, and they realize that businesses need that to exist in order for their business model to exist, you might think, might this have some sort of staying power? And then more people and more money comes into the space investing purely to hold it. And so that can bump up the price. So that'd be a human speculating, pushing the price up. So indirectly, yes, that's the case. But there's nothing mechanical about like the way that on-demand liquidity is programmed to work that would just somehow magically push the price up. It simply is not how this works. And so then it was Ripple employee Matt Hamilton that chimed in here, and because he was tagged in this thread here, and he responded with the following: pretty nonsense maths. For a start, for an on-demand liquidity endpoint, you need an exchange in that country. Are there 194 countries with local crypto exchanges? Yeah, and clearly there are not. And so even if you think that's going to happen, I don't know how long that would take. But this whole idea that XRP is going to $10,000, I'm just going to keep shouting from the rooftops that it's utterly absurd. It is not happening, will never happen. It's not. Again, unless you cite hyperinflation, but even then, that's not what people are talking about today. We're not talking about having a $10,000 XRP and all it can buy is a loaf of bread because its purchasing power is so diluted at that point. That's not what's being discussed here. So you let me know what you think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Again, diversity of thought is totally cool with me, so you can tell me I'm wrong, and as long as you're tactful, I'm not going to get offended. It's totally fine. I'll wrap up here, though. I am not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.